Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Why, hello there. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. Absolutely picture perfect, gorgeous day out here.
Oh, it's stunning. I mean, it's beautiful.
And so, what I wanted to do was to go over some, let's basic Bronze Age knowledge to a Para age. Getting out of the Kali Yuga and leaving the dark control mode of mental constriction, because that's really what it is. And so many people are trapped in belief systems that are very limiting, and they don't understand that they are limiting. In fact, they may think that their belief system is the one that frees you, when in reality, it's just another method of control.
Well, I mean, the whole word belief system. So that if someone is having a belief system, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but is that belief system, is that creating a bar, just one of the many bars that keep us in prison? So, understanding your belief system, is it restrictive or is it freeing? Does it allow you to explore yourself in certain ways? Or is it saying, no, you can't do that? And even without any good reason why you can't do that. I remember, so long ago on my journey, through my belief system, going to church and going to Sunday school and volunteering for Sunday school, I always had these ideas and thoughts about things like tarot cards and astrology and, following the stars and using the stars to guide me. And I kept turning away from it because I thought it was bad. And I was being told it was bad by my belief system at my church that I went to. So I wanted to honor them because these are really good people. I mean, these people mean me no harm. They want what's best for me. But ultimately, this was part of my history. This is part of my awakening. This is part of who I am. This is part of my reincarnation. So I was cutting out a huge, huge chunk of myself by not exploring that part of me.
Yes, absolutely. And this left right paradigm has us basically in different camps in different ways, and conditioned so that we will not open up to certain truths. And it is conditioning, it is absolutely programmed into us from childhood. It starts with the doctors, slapping your butt. And it starts with them cutting off the umbilical cord a little bit too quick, not bonding with the mother, taking the baby away from the mother. The baby should just be with the mother the entire time. This is part of how they break us away from Mother Nature and the natural order, and then they end up replacing that with themselves, with a system which is not loving, not compassionate, not kind, not seeing the bigger picture, in that everything is part of one bigger picture. It's all part of one consciousness exploring its own creation. When they bring out the whole concept, when you look to modern science, they'll tell you, well, your consciousness is a result of chemical reactions going on in the brain. And that is absolutely wrong. That is completely wrong, completely false. This was something that could only be pulled over on humanity in the Dark Age, only in a Dark Age, because we know inherently that's not the case in the other ages. And in fact, when you look again to the indigenous people around the world, they all know this. This is just common knowledge. They understand they're having a temporary physical incarnation in the human body. It's also something that was well known in the mystery schools,
Mhm.
in the Western mystery tradition, Gnosticism, Hermeticism, Kabbalah. All it's just basic knowledge. Again, in the East, whether you're talking Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Shintoism, Taoism,
All the isms.
everything, everything, everything except for fundamentalist Abrahamic tradition.
Isms.
Yeah, the fundamentalist Abrahamic traditions, which is again, the root is Judaism, out of which Christianity and Islam have come. And again, Christianity and Islam are the majority of the world. It's over 60% of the world that come through that lens. Everybody else, which was the vast majority of the world outside of a dark age understood inherently that we are having a physical experience, but that we're not the body. That when we're out of the body, we go on. And in fact, this tradition is still there. It's out there in the myths and the legends and in the belief systems of so many different people everywhere you look. This is why they conquered the world in the way they did and supplanted the belief systems of all the indigenous earthlings, let's call them. Or maybe we should, even go back to the fact that Earth is what it is because of the dark system destroying Tiamat, from which Tiamat was the original planet. Earth is the recreation of Tiamat from the largest remnant of that planet, and it was reseeded with life after that by many different beings from countless different planets and star systems. And this is why we have the diversity that we have on the planet. This is why we have different apparent races. Yeah, we come from different places. And in fact, again, even when we look to Nibiru, this is the case with Nibiru. Nibiru was the same thing. It was a refugee camp. When you see migrants and immigrants all over the world moving from place to place, this is what the system does on a galactic scale. And in fact, it happened to Nibiru, and Nibiru fell to the draconian reptilian group, known by other names depending on what sources you're going through. But you can call it Satan and his fallen angels if it makes you happy. But regardless, these are non-terrestrial beings. And again, terrestrial is referring to Terra, which is referring to Earth, which originally Earth again was Tiamat, and it is there in the Sumerian, Akkadian, Mesopotamian myths. And in fact, again, just look into different indigenous traditions, and many of them hold memory of this.
Well, the indigenous traditions are so very important because the truth is embedded in the DNA. So if someone if someone has a really strong tie to their indigenous family, they are going to have the ability to kind of awaken a lot easier than other people. That's been my experience, and that's what I've seen with others. It's that tie to the earth. It's that tie to knowledge. It's that tie to wisdom that brings us around to understanding. I had this little uh, saying kind of put right in front of me, and it says a smart person will change their view if new information contradicts their belief. An indoctrinated person lacks this ability. They are conditioned to dismiss facts. And I think that's really important to point out because how many people just, they'll do a thing and then they'll get sick, or their family will do a thing and their family will get sick and they'll turn around and go get another one. They're just completely dismissive. And I remember that in my own journey at church, there was things that were in the Bible that I completely dismissed, like, and I don't know why I dismissed them. Things like Ezekiel's wheel. If you really read that, you're you're looking at aliens. You're looking at an alien ship.
Either that, or he's having a mushroom trip.
Right, and I just completely dismissed that. I mean, I'm like, that's no big deal." I just went right over my head. And even Mike was talking about his own journey yesterday, reading about 4 books. What was it? How many were you were going over when you were younger? You were looking at, like, 4 different
Oh,
Bibles.
I was just saying, this is before you had the ability to look online and compare translations. So I had acquired a bunch of different Bibles. In fact, I've made it a point to get different translations, but I was also studying the Nag Hammadi and everything that I could, the pseudepigrapha, everything that was not included in the Bible for the express purpose of finding out why in my own feelings. Why do I think this wasn't included and that wasn't included? The reality as time went on, think things like, oh, why do they quote the book of Enoch, but then it's not included? Well, you could go way beyond that because the Book of Enoch itself is still kind of giving you a distortion because it's still talking about fallen angels, the original meaning of the words messenger. So, again, when you realize that, it makes a big difference because we're not talking about fallen angels here. These are not beings that have attained very, very high states of elevated consciousness and then they lost it. No, not really. I mean, I guess you could look at the archonic forces in that manner if you wanted to. But at the same time, what we're talking about is beings that are trapped in a lower density. They really can't go much higher. There are some that believe the Galactic Federation. I was watching. I don't know if it was Astral Legends or one of those other channels because they do such a good job with the with the cartoon depictions and
Oh,
the AI
spirit,
generated.
spirit.
Well, Spirit Science gives you a real cartoon, but a lot of these are AI generated, and the images are fabulous. They really are stunning, and they can trigger some memories, literal memories in your data banks, so to speak, that you could pull up. There's some resonance with some of the depictions of different extraterrestrials in there, but at the same time, they tend to be off on the bigger picture because a lot of times they're relying simply on things like Sitchin's translations and other people's translations or channeled messages from other people. And every channeled message you get is coming through the lens, the prism of the channeler. So who is the channeler and what have they gone through in their life? It does affect the message that's given. And this is the beauty of the fact that we're all fractals of source, because we are fractals of source. It's all information in a unique experience coming through a unique lens. This is why when you get a message from us, it might jive in the greater sense, but might not jive with channeler B or C in the little details because we're looking at it from a different point of view. Each one of us is a different facet on the diamond. And so we're never going to have exactly the same, completely the same viewpoint. And that's exactly what is intended in the creation by the real creator of this universe, who is a benevolent being.
Right. It's the understanding of source creation. Your belief system and who you believe the creator to be is extremely important. And it can be extremely important for your own freedom, or it can be extremely important for the control system that we find ourselves under. One thing that I really believe that the religious community is good about is those who are destined to really break free. They break free because I've seen myself and so many others that were going to church and really spending time in community because that's what I enjoyed being around people, but it was the belief system. It was the belief system that I kept kind of like side eyeing. I'm like, I don't know about this. And then finally it's like I love the community, I love the people, but I can't go along with this any further. I need to explore myself. I need to explore, who is Cindy? What is she about? What is this girl? What does she like? What does she dislike? And knowing that the religious systems really just put a big hamper on that, and they wouldn't allow me to explore, which, you know, the important part of it all, though, is that I got there. And it was actually through religion is how I reached this point. So everything has purpose, no matter what you're going through in life, no matter what road you are taking. Just know that it's an important one. It's one because when you decide to do something different in your belief system, you really have to be okay with it because you're the one that matters, not other people. And please remember that it's what you think that matters. What other people are telling you or what you are reading out of a book, take pause with that because that's coming from someone else. Usually people are trying to control your brain. They're telling you something because they want to convince you of something. It's the rare breed that sit here and tell you that, look, you are a free agent. You are someone who can go out and explore you. Yes, that's what this is about.
Absolutely. the heart is the connection. That's the connection point to the higher self in so many ways. Yes, the crown chakra as well. And unfortunately, most of humanity has had a closed off crown chakra. And also, a lot of the time, a closed off heart chakra because the traumas will close it off. And then again, if your pineal's not functioning properly, the crown's not going to be able to function properly as well. It really is a case where creation comes top down, and then the path back to that higher self is bottom up. So, what we need to do is strengthen the physical body in order to have a stronger spiritual body as well. Now, it really depends on the individual soul and what your purpose and what you've achieved in past lives. Again, some people have this knowing, and again, there's no way we could ever jump back in the box of fundamentalist thinking because it doesn't resonate. We know it. I mean, it never resonated with me. It never resonated with me, even as a little kid. Well, that's because of all the past lives that I've had, and I've had like glimpses of several. It's not going to resonate with me. But yet, some souls are what we would call younger souls. They haven't had incarnations on other planets and other star systems. So to them, yeah, maybe the Earth is flat, and this is the center of the universe, and yet they can see there's some distortion, but they're very unclear because they don't know what to believe. The left brain, the analytical mind, is only as good as the information that comes into it. If you're not using the heart and the crown, if you're not using your ability to sense and feel energy and to know, this is the gnosis that the Gnostics were talking about. It's nothing you're ever going to memorize and just speak back perfectly, because you could memorize any sort of dogma you want. It's not going to make that dogma correct. You could try to justify it with other verses from that same dogmatic system, which doesn't prove a damn thing, but in their mind it proves everything because it says so, even though it's all incorrect.
Mhm.
And when because your heart is open and your crown is open and you have that connection to other densities and higher dimensions, you are getting information from a much different perspective. So again, you can never put that back in the box. It's just not going to fit. You're past that paradigm and you're ready to explore new ones. And in some cases, again, it may never have fit.
Right, right. It's something, it's a path that we all need to take, and we all need to come to our own realization. I think it's just important to be fair to yourself and don't sell yourself short. Understand that you deserve to explore you and explore this world. And I'm one, I guess my belief system is live and let live. And if you are not bringing harm to anyone and you are in your world doing your thing, exploring your way, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. I don't see this world as anything that's in the mainstream, anything at all. I don't feel that it feels very unsafe to me because we have to keep in mind who's writing the books, who's making the decisions, who is doing the translation and where are they from? And once you start looking into that and you realize that a lot of the people who are making the big translations of the things that are most important belong to the same group, then you start to really wonder. It's like, okay, well, what's going on? And which is frustrating because most people are there. And here I know so many star seeds that are just, they're alone. They're alone with their, even though they might be in a house full of people, they are alone. And that is very difficult. But we are rising in frequency, all of us. All of us are going up. So the good news is, as we go up in frequency, it's like, the best way I can explain is I want you to think of a fan, the fan blade. The fan blade goes round and round and round. It goes round really, really fast. And the faster it goes, the harder it is to see. That's what we are doing. And we're vibrating at a faster frequency and we are separating from the old world into a new world. And there is going to be some type of distance. And many people are experiencing what we would call ascension symptoms, because as you vibrate faster, there's less room for error. So you might have all kinds of things coming up, pain, sores, aches. And believe me, the control system does everything they can possibly do to keep you down. So we are going through a separation now. It's really quite a beautiful thing, moving up to a different dimension. And just keep that fan blade, keep that in your mind, because we are vibrating faster and faster, and it's going to be separating us from one world to the next.
Yeah, and not everybody is necessarily going to make it as far as through the ascension. It's again not based on dogma; it's based on frequency. So that is a very logical thing, really, when you think about it.
It's
Obviously,
natural law.
it's natural law. It's just like karma and the law of cause and effect. Sooner or later, things do come back at us. And right now, we basically are going through an accelerated purging of karma in so many ways. It's a very intensive detoxifying process, is what we are going through at this point in time. And belief systems can be the most limiting thing in the world, but they can also be freeing in the sense that, as Cindy was saying, if you are going to have a flexibility built in where, okay, I thought it was this way, but in actuality, it's a little bit off to this side of things. And then you adapt, just simply being open minded and moving from there. That is, a very, very simple way of putting it. As Earth goes through this period that's right ahead of us, there are going to be some people that are simply going to be full of too much fear, because it is fear, and it's that fear of punishment, and also the gaslighting that's really set into them, the fear of not being good enough. There's so much of that is ingrained in us by this system. It will be what holds them down and end up, having them reincarnate again on a regular 3D existence. Again, I think the door is open to so many different possibilities, and that's what makes it so exciting in these times. Because the Earth itself is going to go on and ascend out of the 3D muck and mire that we've witnessed in this Kali Yuga. Yet, not every individual will, as so many individuals here are younger souls. And again, there's that point of view that not all of them, you have people saying NPCs, and are there really NPCs? Well, what there is here is a lot of the control system trying to take away or control the God spark, the source spark that's in all of us. And this is why the indigenous people all around the world have been so subjected to being wiped of their traditions. Their traditions keep them in contact with the mother, which the mother is the earth, and it's more than the earth, too. It's the literal universe. It's literally the multiverse of which all universes are created. It's the divine feminine. So the easiest path really is through the mother energy, and this is why the the male, the yang, has been accentuated. The patriarchal society, based on competition and war and aggression and action, as opposed to the yin, which is based on contemplation and reflection and compassion.
Hmm. I think what I see the system doing is they're making every single person, they're making them believe that they are flawed. They are giving them a victim mentality, and they're giving them this idea that, things about you are not okay, and you need this thing to be better. And that goes for everything. That goes for our belief system. It goes for sales too. Things that you see on the commercials, it's like, oh, you have bad skin, you need this thing, you better have this thing or else. And they do that on such a wide scale, but we are not a flawed species. If you look at our natural ways and look at how we should be being, we are in a system and a community, for that matter, that makes our life very difficult. We're forced to do things that would cause depression, that would cause mania, that would cause, a lot of very difficult thoughts because we're in this world where they're wanting us to do policies and procedures when really we are a very touchy feely type of being, and we go with the flow and we use our emotions to guide us, but they take us out of our natural element, put us in another element where all we can do is follow the checked box. And really, that brings trauma to the being. Oh, and then all of a sudden, they're going to have the answers to it. They're going to be able to give you a pill and help you go along with the checked boxes, is what they want you to do. And that's just not who we are. So anyone who is having difficulty, depression, things of that nature, believe me, there's probably a reason why you are sad. And to find healing, you need to look at that reason and adjust it and fix it, and not just try to do a thing to ignore it.
Source is always giving birth to new souls. It's just look to the sun, look to, say, solar flares shooting off from the sun. Do they ever come right back to it? They go off. They go off, and the energy does its thing. Every single ray of light from the sun goes off on a journey, and each one of us is like that. Each one of us is a individual soul at some point in time that was birthed by source and sent off on its journey. Some of these souls have been doing journeys like what we're doing right now for what we might call billions or trillions of years. Others for maybe just mere centuries in Earth time, maybe just a handful of lives. Again, each soul is unique, but the typical pattern is that the birth soul will take on an incarnation as a simple form of life, but don't think simple in the form that it is has any less potential than us. It just hasn't been. It hasn't had the experiences to move past a certain stage. So when we look at the Davic kingdom, and it's interesting too that Davic, a Devi, is again a being in the Hindu tradition of nature. And also, we can say that these beings can be very angelic, very very high frequency. They're very human, though. They have emotions. They have everything that we have, and they can be at a more fundamental point in their journey. Just starting out, tending a plant, tending a flower, tending a tree. Cindy has seen that when a tree gets knocked over in the storm, then the elementals leave. We call them elementals because they're elemental in nature. Again, there's the four elements which all come from the ether: air, water, and fire and earth. All come from the ether. The ether is the life force. It is the ki, the chi, the prana, the vril, and they come from the life force, which again is really the mother. It's all the mother's energy that we find ourselves within, and truly, in some ways, we are still in the womb of the mother. As above, so below; as within, so without. It's very easy to see these things, and again, we're in the fractal universe. How do we know, again, that we're not really on a flat Earth? Now, the only way the Earth could be flat would be if it was literally a mothership, or a piece of the planet that was being terraformed, which it is and has been terraformed, and it was a piece of the planet. It's not perfectly round yet. It's on its way to being perfectly round. Cindy sees it more like a pear, and we're on that top smaller part of the pear. The bigger part is below us, and we can't really see it because it's kind of off limits to us at this point in time, being that we have been experiencing the Kali Yuga with the dark control system in charge of our portion of the planet. But those borders may be opening for those that are on the ascension path again. And we will be going back to the time of myth and legends, where literally you will be seeing things more than likely that you might have heard of in myths. Things like fairies and sprites and elves and gnomes and dragons and all these things. Griffins, again, which were something that was noted in Tartary and also in California when California was under the rule of Queen Califia. We've talked about that in past videos as well. So this is exciting because we're going back to a time when all possibilities start to open up again, and we start to realize that we have a lot of choices because we can always change our trajectory on our timeline. As individuals, you have all the power in the world to change your personal timeline. What many of us are here to do as Starseed Lightworkers is to awaken the rest of the world. Hey, you guys could change your timeline too. You don't have to go the route of revelations and suffer all this torture and torment if you just wake up.
Right. Knowing that that belief system and the script that they give us, we are fulfilling it. But if you know that there is a different way and you grab as many people as you can and say, hey, come on, let's go down this other path, then the other path becomes the reality. So it's about working together.
It absolutely is. And as the source spark goes on its journey, it may end up choosing to incarnate as a fish. In actuality, when you look to the avatars of Vishnu, it gives you the progression, the true evolution of the soul in so many ways, as like a fish, and then a turtle, then a boar, and then as a monkey, or again, and then human form, multiple human lives, as this is what the progression of the soul looks like. And when we look to beings like the higher devas, and again, the root of devil, they're taking from deva, which is natural, and they're making it something that is dark and sinister. Well, you would expect that because truly, the system that's in place is demonic. The Gnostics recognized this and, called it for what it is, and that's why they were exterminated and their belief system disappeared until these times when the awakening was starting to hit humanity again as the dogs get close to knocking the camera off.
Right. So it's a
But
sign. It's a sign.
it's a sign, but I just wanted to go over that in one video to let you know how it works. After so many incarnations as a human, you could go on to become what we would call a deva and be in charge of even more, helping and aiding. It's as we start to put ourselves in service more to others that the soul really evolves and grows. Guys, cut it out.
All right.
Rama,
So,
Ram. No. Okay. They get very spastic, and Sita is going to knock this over.
yes. So we should
Okay.
probably sign off. It's a sign.
Okay. So anyway, I wanted to get that across, and at this point in time, truly, the sky is the limit for those that understand and awaken. There's really nothing holding us back but limiting belief systems, which obviously include geopolitical and medical, as well as obviously the
Yes.
religious side of things.
Indeed.
So as always, guys, we would invite you to join us over on Patreon as well. Patreon is a blessing, and it does help us to move forward in making videos like this. So we welcome you over there, and source bless and namaste.
Namaste.